everyone, welcome back to the Book Nook part 2. So if you remember, we left off just here. I'm now going to start working on the downstairs floor. I'm going to go for a nice tiled look, a little bit rustic. For the bottom floor, I'm going to be using air drying clay, which I'm going to cut into tiles. I've just rolled it out quite thin, as you can see, and I'm now going to chop it up into small tiles, ready to let them air dry, and allowing for some shrinkage as well. So I've rolled it out, flattened it out, and sliced it down into chunks along the ruler. I'm not worried about it being too smooth because I actually quite like the look of stone, so I'm going to try and use some paper and just sort of dapple it over the top of the tiles, and then I'm going to chop them into smaller sizes. And here they are, a day's worth of drying, and they're ready to paint. I do like the way the dappling effect has worked, and I just used a wet paper towel to just give it a slight dapple effect. After some paint mixing and just getting the right kind of colour, I then painted all the individual tiles, and I tried to create a little bit of variation between the tiles just so that they would look a little bit unique. It's time to attach them to this piece of card, which I've cut to the right size. So I've laid all the flooring in the order that I want to put it onto the paper, which I've cut to size. To stick it down, I'm going to use this Smooth Finish Ronseal filler. It's a multi-purpose filler. I'm going to use this to basically stick it to the paper. It's a repair to plaster, stone, concrete or wood, and it will stick the tiles down because they are very light and they're made of clay, so obviously it'll stick quite easily. So that's what I'll be using to create a sort of a layer for the tiles to sit on. So I'm going to slowly move the tiles onto the paper here, and then I can start placing them in the right order. First of all, I'm just going to smooth. Excuse me, I'm being a bit messy with this, aren't I, really? Smooth a small coat of it into the paper. And then I can start sticking them down. Make sure all of the paper's covered with a reasonable layer, because at least then I can squidge the tiles around to make them a bit more even, so they're not sticking up so much. I'm actually quite pleased with how these tiles have come out. They're quite rustic. and I actually quite like that look. And it's very different to the upper floor, but I wanted to try something a bit different for the bottom floor. And now finally to varnish and seal. I'll be using this general purpose wood glue, but I guess you could use any other glue, any PVA glue, but this is quite a good generic glue for these types of things as well. I've also just created a little mantelpiece out of cardboard. I've just layered up 3 pieces of cardboard, and I'm just going to paint it black now. So this is my little fireplace unit that I've built. It's a shelving unit, and then I'm going to have a mirror at the top, and obviously the fireplace bit will go bottom, and I've just cut out a stick here to go in this bit here, which will fit there. And then I've got these 2 little pieces of this square wood. It was square, I've sort of filed it down a little, and I've marked a little line, because I want to have 2 little finial things on the ends here. Not finials, what they called, corbels. So I've just marked them across, and I'm just going to file them down a little bit here, just to give it that sort of look of a finial. And then it should start looking a bit more like a fireplace. Okay, after some vigorous sort of filing with these, I've got these little files here, they're mini files, and I file down a little piece on one side like that, just so it looks like a little corbel go on the side of the fireplace. So that, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to glue it all together and let that dry, and then just give it a lick of paint. Okay, so it's all painted. I'm now going to create a little fire area here, and there's going to be logs either side, and then some things on the shelves. And I've even cut a small piece of mirror here, which was a nightmare to cut. I did get a little cutting tool, and I've just put some tape around the insulation tape just to protect my fingers from the edges, because they were still a bit sharp, and it does fit into the little slot there, so it will go there. But I'm just going to make a little edging with some wood, just so it looks like a nice wooden frame, and I might paint it gold. So that's the next step. I'm really happy with this frame, it looks so cute. I'll paint it in a second and I'll move on to the next bit. I've just realised that I forgot to record. I forgot to actually press record on my phone when I was making these. I'm so sorry. I've basically made this little fireplace area out of clay. So it's air drying clay, and I've just obviously left it to dry, and I've painted it. The little logs you see here are actually made with clay as well, and I've painted them, and I'm so sorry I forgot to record that bit. Of course, you're very welcome to use a stick or a twig from outside and just chop it up instead of using air drying clay. I actually made these, and then I sent my son out on a hunt for a twig, which worked out great because I can use that for my little logs that will go into the sides of the fireplace. Okay, it's time to decorate our little shelving unit by putting a few books and little bits and pieces, some ornaments and a few beads. Various sized beads, different types that I've collected, and some kids types of beads, and like for arts and crafts, and we've got a nice little mixture of different shapes and sizes. And for my little project, I've picked out a couple that I really like the look of. So there's this one here. There's this one, which is like a nice little sort of gold rimmed bead. I thought that goes well. It could work as a little plant pot. There's this one here, which has got a nice little pattern on it as well. Like that. Okay. And two smaller ones, so one looks like that, and I could use this little flat bead as a foot, glue it together and then paint it, so that could be another bead as well. To make a little plant for that little plant pot, I've just used a bit of paper and I've just coloured in the top and just sort of cut slight little lines in there to make it look like leaves, and I'm going to roll it up and stuff it into the bead. So I put a little piece of cardboard at the back with some what you call crepe paper, not crepe paper, with some tissue paper, that's the word. I know it looks an absolute mess at the moment because I've also taped down little sections just to avoid catching wires and things. But yeah, that's where at the back of the fireplace, so when I do slot my little shelving unit in, that will be behind it. So hopefully it will look like fire, but if it looks awful, I can remove that. Okay, I think we're ready to install our little shelf. We have here so got one more thing to put in here, but I'll do that later on. So I'm going to try and slide this into the unit now, and hopefully we don't have any issues. So here we go. Gentle with it. Okay, now before I push it right up against the wall, I'm going to adjust that little fire at the back. But I will get it a little bit more snug if possible. Okay, so that side at least is in. Changed your angle. I don't know if you can see much of the fire at the back. I'm not very keen on the way the paper's sticking it out, so I'm going to crumple that down and I'm going to push the lights under so you can't really see them, but you can just see the glow through the fire. It. It's starting to look a bit better. I want it to look like fire emanating, you see, from the fireplace rather than an actual light. Okay, I'm quite impressed with that, and I think You might not be able to make it out very much, but the fire does look like it's got a glow. I have had to re-glue parts of it, which is why you can see all that white glue, but it does have a lovely little glow going on in there, so I'm quite happy with that. Just enough, I think. And there we have it. Okay, excuse those lights, they're not. Okay, so there we go. I've popped the little mantelpiece in on the floor there. And then you can see that I've got the shelving unit done at the back there, as you can see. I haven't done the lighting yet, so the lighting does look messy, but that'll be the next episode. And you can see how the floor's looking when it's going to be fitted. I've just got to glue it down. And then going up to the first level, the banister. I've got the other bookshelf at the back there, which is upside down, I've just realised. Don't mind. Which isn't glued on anyway, so I can refix that. And then we've got the window, which you can look out of. And it looks 3D, so which I'm really happy about. And that's it with this one, because I've still got a lot more to work on, which will continue in part 3. So I will see you next time.